Hello, Stitchy friends! Today is Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. This is the Runner Stitcher, and you are watching Flosstube number 8. Number 8 already. I can't believe it. When I started this back in November, I think around Thanksgiving was my first video, I had no idea it would lead me to here, to meet all of you, to make some close friends, to enjoy this hobby that we all love, and to really be welcomed into the great stitching community. I love it. So I'm very happy to be back for Flosstube number 8. Hopefully many more to come. We'll see. But yeah, if you are new here, welcome. This is a channel where I primarily talk about cross stitch. I'll also talk a little bit about my running journey. You can see some of my medals back there. But yeah, primarily about cross stitch and my journey trying new things and completing things and all the cross stitch things. So if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I know you have so many floss tubes to get to, and I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with me today. So I hope you've got a good project lined up and you're getting some stitching done while we're chatting here. I love that we can all kind of stitch together in this way with Flosstube. It's really cool. So yeah, hope you're working on a good project. I feel like I have a lot to talk about today, so it might be a longer video. I've got my coffee to get me through it. But sit back, relax, enjoy all the things that I'm about to show you. And yeah, let's get right into it. I guess, first of all, I'll just start with a little bit of running to get that kind of out of the way. So I have still been running and I've been training. I've got a 5K race this Sunday, which is about 3.1 miles. It's up in my neighborhood in Manhattan, and it's always a fun race. It's pretty short, so it doesn't take too long of the day. It's usually pretty cold in March, but I think this year is actually going to be pretty decent, which will be nice for a change. And yeah, it's called the Washington Heights Salsa, Blues, and Shamrock 5K. A mouthful, but it's really fun. And then in 2 weeks from that, on March 17th, on St. Patrick's Day, I've got the United Airlines NYC Half, where I will start in Brooklyn and run all the way through Times Square and up and finish in Central Park. That one I should have a pretty cool medal to show at the end, which I'll be sure to share with you guys here on this channel. So that's sort of my running plans for the next month or so. And then after that, I'll probably jump into some training program for something. I haven't determined yet. So let's talk about cross stitch. I've got a lot to show. I've got a finish, I've got some whips, and I've got a start or two. So let's just dive right in. The finish, I'll start off with the finish. If you've been watching my channel, I'm sure you probably know what's coming. This is the Odyssey Sal by Quaternion Creations, and I finished the last part. So here is what it looks like. I'm so excited to have this completed. The final part was this section down here, and this is the story of when Odysseus, he's arrived home, and while he's gone, there's been a lot of suitors who have sort of stormed and taken over the castle to try to get Penelope to marry them so that they can kind of take over Odysseus's kingdom. So he returns home, and it's not really safe for him to just go back to the castle because of all these men that are there trying to take over. And so he disguises himself as a beggar to get into the castle, or to get into his palace, and only his dog recognizes him as the beggar. The dog's name is Argos, I think. And so I thought that was a super cute touch to add the dog in here to the picture. But basically Penelope creates a contest and says, you have to at least be able to do what my previous husband did, which was shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads, I think. And so all of the men line up, none of them can do it. And then this beggar comes up to bat and does it flawlessly. And that's when she realizes this is Odysseus. He has returned. He's back home. So that's the story that's depicted here in this bottom section. And then, of course, we know that Penelope, after he returned home and he told her of all of his journeys, she created this tapestry, which she's working on sewing here, that we see here. So yeah, this is the final piece in the puzzle, and it is completed. I'll give you a close-up of everything just so you can see it all. I really, really enjoyed stitching on this project. When I started it, I didn't know if I would keep up with the Sal completely, but I just loved it so much, so I did. And it's now done. This is kind of the true color it is. This is stitched on an 18 count Curry Aida, and that's basically the true color of what it looks like. So very happy. I do want to get this framed. Maybe it'll be the first piece that gets hung on this wall here. So yeah, first piece. I started this back in, I want to say it was like September, October, when the first release came out, and finished it here in February. So very fun piece. I will link her channel below in case anybody else wants to pick up this pattern and stitch it now that it's completely done. She's also got some great patterns in her Etsy shop, so you can go check that out as well. That is my finish for the week. So when you finish something, that means you get to start something, right? Okay, well, in my case, finish one thing, start two things, because that makes sense, I think. So I started two projects. The first one I started is a pattern I got off of Etsy. I'll link the store down below. It's PuntAGOpetitePattern, I think. Maybe is how you pronounce it. And it is the pattern of a black Chihuahua, like Winston. If you forget what Winston looks like, here's a picture. I'm making this for my former roommate. So when we lived together, that's when I first got Winston, and he helped so much in taking care of Winston. Either when I was gone, he would watch him, or, you know, if I was home late, he would take him for walks and things. He sort of fell in love with Winston as well. And a number of years ago, he made me a drawing of Winston, which I'll show you here. It's stunning. It's hanging on our wall downstairs in the living room in the main area, and it is beautiful. Everybody that comes in and sees it, they ask about it, and who made that? Where did you get that? And they don't realize it's actually a drawing until we tell them. And anyway, it's beautiful. So I wanted to do something in return for him, and I thought, why not make him a cross-stitch piece of a dog that looks like Winston as a return for the favor. So that's what I did. I got about 914 stitches into this project already, and that's about 20%. So this isn't a huge project. It probably won't take me super long. And so far I've just been kitting this up from stash, from the threads I've had, and the fabric I'm using is a 20 count that I got from a Facebook destash group. It was called Kali, Kali. I'm not sure if that's the color or if that may be the name of the fabric, because it's a very strange fabric. It's almost like a blanket. It's definitely not like any Aida I've ever had, or any even weave, or even any linen. So I'm not sure. It's like the threads that are used in it are much thicker, and it makes it for like a more soft knit feel, kind of. Anyway, I also had my first time trying to serge fabric by hand. I don't have a sewing machine, but this fabric, for some reason, the threads were just pulling out like crazy, and I was like, if I don't do something, I'm going to run out of fabric. So yeah, so I kind of attempted, and it's worked. It stopped the thread from coming out, which is what I needed to do. So anyway, I've talked enough about it. Here it is. Here's what I've got so far. And you can see the Chihuahua's little ears. He's so cute. So yeah, this is his head and his like body, and then the rest of his body and his legs will be down here. And I love it so far. The colors are cool. I think it's really going to look like Winston when it's done. You can see here there's like a bunch of like whitish tan stitches in here that I put in, but they blend exactly with the fabric, so it actually looks like I've done less than I have. There's even some down here that you can barely see, but they're all outlined in black, so they will kind of pop anyway because of the black of the fur. So really excited about this. Like I said, it's not a big piece, so it shouldn't take too long. I've got my Pluto needle minder, which I thought was appropriate, and yeah, at the bottom of the pattern, it does say Chihuahua Mom, which I'm not going to be stitching, but I haven't decided yet if I'm going to stitch anything, if I will just put Chihuahua, maybe I'll put Winston. I'm not exactly sure, so we'll see once I get the piece done if I feel like it needs words or not. But yeah, hopefully I'll be pulling this out soon and you'll see more of it. So this is the Chihuahua pattern I've got going. Okay, next is my second start, and this was actually my whip go call for February. So this was number 24. For me, that was Start the Mermaids of the Season Sal, which was a sal by Bella Filipina. It's now completely released. You can see the full pattern. I hadn't started it at all yet, so this was a new start for me. I'm stitching it on Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers 28 count Lugana Singing in the Rain, and I've got about 530 stitches in it. That's about 3.4%, maybe a little bit more because of how I'm doing the border. And so this is where I am. So I think I mentioned in a previous video, I'm taking the border, which was just these sort of lines in a box all the way around all the mermaids. It wasn't that exciting to me, but there was this little section in the corner up here that I liked. So I thought I'm going to take that, move it to the center, and then I'll have a quadrant for each of the 4 mermaids that will be in the colors of that mermaid. And then that will be sort of like the center, and then the 4 mermaids will go around it. I don't know if I'll need any border around the mermaids themselves or not. I'm also not stitching the words spring, summer, autumn. I decided to just let that out. So this border is all in Krynic, which also would have been a lot of work to do the whole square border in Krynic. I can't imagine. I probably would have done it, but if I liked the border more. But anyway, so you can see it's kind of like sparkly and shiny. And then this green row in here, this like secondary row, that was supposed to be a dark gray color, but it wasn't very exciting, especially for wanting it to be like in this like centerpiece kind of. It didn't really do anything for me. I started stitching it and then I just pulled it all out. And I ended up using the same Krynic color that's called for in the mermaid here. So each mermaid has their own Krynic color, and then they've also got like some colors of just the DMC in here as well. But I thought it'd be cool to have a little quadrant that shows the colors of each season as we go. And then this, of course, is the mermaid's tail, which is coming along very nicely. This has been a lot of fun to stitch. It's my first mermaid, and yeah, I've really been enjoying it. I didn't have any goals for it for Whip Go other than to start it, but I kind of would like to maybe try to complete the mermaid in the season that we're in. So I'm a little ahead because spring technically hasn't started yet, but hoping I can keep up with like finishing the spring mermaid in the spring, and then in summer starting the next one, and then in a year hopefully I'll have the piece completed. I think that is feasible if I keep working on it, and yeah, a good goal to have. So we'll see about that. I also made this needle minder. So this is a seashell from when I was in Florida, and I saw it and I was like, I wonder if I could turn that into a needle minder. And so I put some glue in the back and put a magnet on, and sure enough, it works. And I thought this is the perfect piece to kind of use my seashell needle minder. It's pretty cool. So that is Mermaids of the Season Sal by Bella Filipina. You'll definitely be seeing more of this, especially as we get into like summer and it feels more mermaidy. But I really like this fabric a lot too. It's 28 count Lugana, but it stitches really nicely and it's really soft. And so far I've been really happy with Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers with their fabric. So yeah, nothing bad to say about that so far. That's my second start. Then let's get into my whips. So the first whip I'll show you is my other whip go call for February, which is my stamped kit. It's a Lighthouse. And I'll show that to you here. So this is the piece. It's one of the first kits I started when I kind of got back into stitching, and I thought a stamped kit might be easier to kind of remember how to cross stitch. So the section that I did this time is right here, all these different colors in the clouds, which is really pretty. I think this is a 14 count, though it seems small for 14 count, but I think it's a 14 count, so I'm stitching it 2/1. I really like the colors. It's really fun. I don't know if I'll pull this out very often. I still want to finish it. I'm not abandoning it, but I've got other projects that are taking my eye first, and this one isn't quite as important at the moment. And so maybe I'll keep putting it on my whip goes in years to come, and eventually it'll get done. But my whip go goal was to have 1,000 stitches, and I completed 1,025. So just made the goal with all these different colors here in the clouds. The other thing I'll say is I stitched in hand for the first time with this piece. As you can see, this is a very sturdy Aida. It's very stiff. And I thought that might be a good one to try stitching in hand. And so I used the Stitch and Mommy has a couple tutorials on how she stitches in hand, and kind of followed that method and rolled it up a little bit and then just stitched away. It actually worked really well. And on this piece, I really enjoyed stitching in hand. I can't say I'm ready to stitch in hand on linen yet. I think that would be too floppy. I don't think I would feel like I have enough control at this point. But on this Aida, it really worked, and I had fun. It was fun trying something new and like getting my tension right. But the outcome, I don't think you can tell a difference between what I stitched in hand on this side and what I stitched in a Q-snap on this side. So I was really happy about that. But first time for everything. Anyway, that is the Lighthouse piece, and that completed both my whip go goals. So I've got 2 more boxes checked off on whip go, which is exciting. Okay, the next piece I've got for you is Lily of the Woods by Mirabilia. And do I have well, I'll pop a picture of the pattern. I don't have the pattern right in front of me. But I started this with my friend Yoshi for our first Mirasal. This is our first Mirabilia that we ever started, and hopefully the first one I'll ever complete as well. And we started it on January 8th. Feel free to join in if you're starting your first Mira, or if you're starting your first Mira of 2024, or if you're stitching Lily of the Woods. It's open to everybody. But Yoshi has a Flosstube. He kind of surprised me, and I didn't know he was doing it, but he started one, and I found it the other day. So of course I'm going to shout it out here. But he's got a Flosstube, and I think he's got 2 videos, a year-end whip parade of all of his like large, huge projects, full coverage. And then his second video has some sneaks of his Lily of the Woods, and he's doing a color conversion. That's all I'll say, but go check out his video to see the color conversion. It's going to look so cool. I can't wait to see our pieces like side by side once we're finished, and the differences, because they're both going to look so great, and I'm going to love his color conversions for sure. So this time in Lily of the Woods, I got about 537 stitches in, which may not seem like a lot, but if you saw my Instagram, I have been working on her skin, which I've been doing 1/1. So I only count those stitches as 1. I don't count them as 4 stitches. So I actually probably had a lot more stitches, but I'm at about 5,498 stitches and about 29.7%, almost 30%. That'll be kind of a cool milestone for next time. But here she is so far. Ooh, I'm so happy. She's so pretty. So I'll zoom in here a little bit on the skin for you to see. So this is the 1/1 I've been doing on her skin. I completed a bunch of her neck here. She's got her arm that she's resting her head on, and then there's a little bit of more of the arm here to go. And then her elbow comes all the way from like down here all the way up. So that's going to be a lot of stitching 1/1 to come. So I'm definitely not even like halfway done with her skin yet, but I am really happy with the results. When you look at it from the back, or from further away, it looks so pretty. Ooh, so excited. So that was mainly what I was working on this time. I also panicked a little bit. I think I told you last time that I had started this project wrong. I meant to do her this way, and I didn't. So I panicked that I was going to run out of room. So I wanted to, once I finished stitching the skin of her hand here, I wanted to just stitch all the way over to see if I had enough room. This last stitch here, there's about 9 stitches to go beyond that. So I'll have maybe about an inch border, which is not very much, but at least she fits. And she is pretty centered on the pattern, so I'm not too worried about this side since I know this one fits, because I do feel like she's very centered. So she's gonna fit. She fits in the top. This is the very top stitch, and she fits on the side. So yeah, these blues are so pretty. I don't know if they're coming through in the camera, but this lighter blue color here is really, really pretty to stitch. I think it's getting a little washed out in the camera, but really pretty. So I don't know where I'll go next with this. Maybe I'll keep stitching the skin. Maybe I'll keep working on the cloth here, or the pillow that her head's resting on. Maybe I'll get back into the dress, because she's got like there's still like a big section of the dress under here to go. Lots of options, but yeah, this is Lily of the Woods. I'm so happy with how she's coming out. You'll definitely be seeing this more and more because the more I see of her, the more I just want to continue stitching on her. And yeah, it's hard to put her down. But I did a lot of other projects this week too, which I was proud of myself for. Gotta give everybody a little love. Yeah, okay, next. Sorry, I just needed a sip of coffee. Next, I've got my Pixel Dragon Adventure Sal from FlossyFox shop. This time I put in about 768 stitches, and I've been stitching this for the hashtag Year of the Dragon Sal. That's by Erica at Fibers and Floss Canada and Samantha the Higa Stitcher. They started that on February 10th for the Lunar New Year. This is the Year of the Dragon. And my goal is to finish this project within this lunar year. So could be sooner than later, could be next February, we'll see. But I have started using this as my daily weekday thread. So the weekends are tough for me. Sometimes I have stitching time, sometimes I don't. During the week, I know I at least have a little stitching time in the morning and then in the evening. So the first stitch I make of the day during the week is Pixel Dragon Adventure, and I pull one length of floss and I stitch as far as it will go or until the color's complete, and then I move on to another project. So it helps me not get too bored of stitching, because this is 1/1 on 28 count. So it helps me not to get burnt out by stitching that small, but also to still keep getting progress. So here is where I'm at this time. So I completed this sleeping dragon here. I completed the flower and this cute butterfly. I don't know if you can see it that well, but it's so cute. I love the little butterfly. And I also worked up here a little bit. This is going to be the next dragon right in through here. So I did all the stitching in there. I think I completed a few of these little mushrooms again. And yeah, that was my progress. I do really love this piece. I would like this framed as well, hopefully hanging up back there. I am really glad I chose to do it 1/1, even though it is very tiny. I think it really looks good with this piece, with the pixel art anyway. So this is Pixel Dragon Adventure. And you'll keep seeing that because it will be my daily thread piece, so that'll keep coming back. Okay, then my final whip that I'm going to share is a second Mirabilia. I loved the first one so much I had to start another one. Well, this isn't a start, you've seen it before, but this is the Kiss by Mirabilia. Here's where I was previously, and this time I added about 1,357 stitches. So that's a total of 2,500, and I'm at 7.7%. And here is where it is. So I'm still in her dress, and this like lighter pink color here is actually a blend of two different colors. So I've been working on the blended stitches that go all the way in here, and there's a bunch up in here, but this is still her dress. I think on this side I've reached the edge of her dress here, so there's a little bit of scenery beside her dress, but I think that is finally the end. And yeah, got some more fill-in to do of the center part of the dress, and then I'll either be able to work up towards their faces, or maybe I'll go to the side to complete some scenery, and then I've got some stuff on the bottom to do as well. There's the floor down there that I will probably end up changing the color of, but this is the Kiss. I'm happy with this as well. It's starting to come to life now. I can start to see the shape of the dress and how it's folding here and, you know, hitting on her. So that makes me even more excited to keep pulling it out. And I did stitch on this a lot. I was pulling this out in the weekday evenings, and it was just a nice, pleasant stitch. Plus it was still February, so I wanted to get some love into this for pink stitching in February. And yeah, this is the kiss. Okay, so now I wanted to talk a little bit about WhipGo. So the March calls were just made, I think a couple days ago, maybe, and they called, or Jessie Marie does stuff. If you don't follow her, definitely do. She's got great projects, but she's also the kind of creator of WhipGo, and so she releases the new numbers each month, and she called number 1 and number 10 this time. So I'll put up my WhipGo chart here, and as you can see, I've got 4 completed from the previous months, from January and February, and I've got the 2 in yellow are the ones that were called for March. So number 1 was the Odyssey Sal, which I had to be determined there because I wasn't sure how far along in the project I would be by the time the WhipGo number was called. I didn't think I would keep up with the Sal, but I ended up loving it so much that I just had to. Every time the new release came out, I had to stitch it. So that's actually a finish. So I'm actually done that one already, which means I'm going to have an easier WhipGo month, which is kind of cool. And I'm not going to replace it with anything. I'm just going to let it be. That was what I put in there, so that's what it is. The second call was number 10, which is a creepy ornament from Lola Crow. Lola Crow did a Sal in the fall that was 6 creepy Christmas ornaments. I completed one of them, and I haven't got it fully finished yet, but I completed it. That you can see in one of my videos. I forget which one. But there's 5 other ones. So I'm debating between these 2. I'll put pictures up here for you to see. Let me know which one you think I should stitch. One of them is like a Christmas haunted house type of thing. The other one is a Christmas tree where there's skeleton heads and the birds are decorating, the crows are decorating the Christmas tree. I love both of them. Let me know which one you'd want to see me stitch. And yeah, my WhipGo goal is to finish one of those ornaments. So whichever one I pick, I'll start it and hopefully get it done by the end of the month. And that should be feasible since that's my only WhipGo goal this month. It'll be a little bit lighter, which is great. So let me know what you think, and that'll be my plans for WhipGo for March. I do want to share a little bit of haul that I got. So I'm going to go through haul and then plans. So if you aren't interested in that, thank you so much for watching and seeing the whips and projects I've been working on so far. If you are, stick around, got some goodies. But yeah, the first one I'm going to show you is, I'll show you 2 patterns that I bought. This one is from the Vermilion Stitchery, and it's called Lady with a Fan. Here she is. She's big, but something about this I just loved. I love how big her hair is. I love how big the dress is. Like, the sleeve is so puffy, and she's just fabulous holding this fan. Her hair is great. I do like the roses in the border too, but I just thought she was so fabulous. I also think she kind of looks like a drag queen, and I thought that'd be awesome to stitch like a first drag queen. I think partially because like how heavy her makeup is, and even her like jawline and eyes sort of look very masculine to me, and so I thought maybe this could be like a drag queen stitch. Which would be fun. But I don't have any plans of when I'm going to start it, but I saw the pattern and I was like, ooh, that is a fun one. I should get that. So that's coming down the line. And then the second pattern I'm going to show that I got was, I have a bunch of Mirabilia already, but this is my first Nora Corbett pattern. This one is Miss Queen Bee. Ooh, she's so cool. I just loved those stripes in her dress. Again, her fan. I loved her little crown. I think this is all part of an insect series that Nora Corbett did. I don't know how many of them I will stitch, if I'll stitch all of them or not, but this one in particular drew my attention, and I was like, I need to have this. I need to stitch this. It'd be a lot of block stitching in the dress, but I think it'd be worth it once it's all completed. So I'd have to find like the right fabric for this to go on. But yeah, I'm excited about that one. And then speaking of fabric, I did get 2 fat quarters of fabric. This one is a 32 count Lugana in the color Vintage Atlantic. And it's a blue with like definitely some modeling in it, and reminded me of just like ocean waves, basically. Sorry about the glare. And so I'd like to stitch a mermaid on this. I've got a couple Mirabilia mermaids. I know there's plenty of Bella Filipina to choose from, so I thought I just have to have this in my stash because eventually I'm going to stitch a mermaid, and I think one of them would look great on this fabric. So that was a really cool find. And in that same order, I also got a 36 count Zweigart Edinburgh linen. This is in the colorway Agave. And again, it's just a really nice green. It's maybe a little bit darker than what it's coming through on the camera, but really nice green. Yeah, definitely better color-wise back here. I actually could have stitched Lily of the Woods on this, but I'm happy with my fabric choice. So I don't know what I will stitch on this, but I really just liked the shade of green and thought I need to have this to my collection. It's pretty neutral too, so I feel like a lot of things could be stitched on here, and we'll find the right project eventually, right? But good to have in my stash. The final piece of haul I want to share is another bag I got from Jess at Como Stitches. This is her Salt Box Houses bag. So fun. When I saw this fabric pattern, I was like, I really want a bag of this. And she put this beautiful fabric inside, got the white zipper. I just love it. If you're interested in her bags, I'll link her Etsy channel down below. She releases new bags, I think, almost every Friday night around 6 o'clock, maybe Central Time. If you want them, you got to be on immediately because they sell out so quickly, but they're really high quality bags, and they fit like the Nurch hoops that I've been using, plus my fabric, plus thread, so I really like them. I know people have been talking about the vinyl, and so far I've only been putting projects in these bags that I'm using a digital pattern for, so I don't have the paper pattern that I have to worry about like sticking to the vinyl, because I can see how that would be a mess. But so far it's worked out for me because I'm just using the kits that I have digital patterns for. So anyway, Saltbox House bag. Okay, then my last thing is plans. So I talked about this last week, and thank you to everybody who gave their opinion on the color of the silk and the color of the fabric for, this is for my Long Dog Leap Day Sal. I can never get that right, but I'm stitching. Yeah, I'm starting Saga by Long Dog Samplers. I'll be starting this on February 29th on Leap Day. And the goal of this is to complete the project by the next Leap Day in 4 years. We'll see. It's a hefty goal because that piece is huge. So I'm going to try to keep up with it, but we'll see how it goes. I'm not putting pressure on myself, but it's a nice way to, if I don't finish it in 4 years, maybe in 8 years I can finish it. Stick around. It's going to be a long journey. But anyway, so I thank you so much for everybody who commented. I was happy with my choices of fabric and silk and just started doubting myself. So it was great to hear the reassurance that most of you said you liked the choices and you thought they worked well together. So the only other thing I have to decide now is, do I stitch 2/2 or 1/2? So these fluffy stitches over here, I'll try to zoom in as much as I can. That is 2/2. You can see how fluffy they are. They're definitely thick. It's like full coverage. And then these stitches, sorry about this thread that's left over. These stitches here, let's see if I can get a good picture. That is 1/2. So a little less coverage, a little less fluffy. I think both are good. I've asked a few people so far. I've sent messages on Instagram like, which one do I do? What's the normal? I think a lot of people say they stitch 1 strand over 2 on 36 count, which I do like. At first I was drawn to the fluffiness of these thick 2/2 stitches. Also, you can use the loop start, which I know I can for 1 strand as well, but it's easier to do the loop start with 2. But the more I thought about it, I'm sort of drawn to the 1/2, the sort of simpler stitch. And I still think it gets really good coverage. It just doesn't look quite as fluffy. So what's your opinion? I don't know. Do people have an opinion on what they stitch on 36 count? I think both will end up looking good, but let me know in the comments. Obviously, I'll have to choose before my next video, but would love to hear your opinion in the comments if you see this in the next couple of days, whether you think 2/2, the fluffier stitches, or 1/2 with the stitching for Saga. So let me know, but that's coming up. Thank you so much for all of your opinions on, or your reassurance that the blue was good. I do appreciate that. And the last thing I want to show is not something I'm starting anytime soon, but I think it'll be a May start probably, but I showed this in, I think, maybe my first video as some of the haul that I bought, but this is Gaia the Earth Goddess by Bella Filipina. I thought she was beautiful, and I love the branches, I love the trees, not trees, birds. I love the green in her dress is just so pretty. She's going to be a lot of fun to stitch up. So I think this will be a May start, and I bought fabric for it from Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. This is Spring Rain, I think it was called. And it's a two-tone fabric, so I'll just go ahead and show you here. So it's got like a bluish gray up at the top, and then it has this green into darker green at the bottom. Now the picture that they had on the website, the green only came up to about like here. So the green was like only this small portion here at the bottom. But when I got it, it's like the green comes, halfway up the fabric. So initially my thought was to have Gaia sort of coming out of the green. I don't know if you can see this well. Sorry, I'm trying my best to hold everything. To have her coming out of the green, and then the branches and the top part of her would be in the blue section. But now I'm not sure, since the green comes up so high. Is it going to look silly if I have so much green behind the bottom of her? I did a little bit of measuring, and I think the green will come up to about like here. So this part would be stitched in green, and then all of this in blue, which I still think that's a fairly good proportion. I would definitely like stitch her, start from the top 2 inches down for the border to get her started as high as possible, and then just see where she lands at the bottom. I think she probably would come to about here is my gut. So let me know what you think. You think this will work? You think that will look okay? Or should I choose something else? The good thing is I have plenty of time. I'm not going to start her until May, so I've got time to decide. But this was the fabric that I bought specifically for her, so I kind of want to use it for that project. But yeah, I was just a little disappointed that it didn't come through as they showed in the picture. However, I think it still could work. I've got it in the kit with the beads and specialty floss, like I'm going to use it. So let me know if you see any red flags with that, or if I shouldn't do that. But those are just some plans. I don't have anything else necessarily that I'm planning to start, but you never know. The Chihuahua start was sort of a last minute decision there was one day I just felt like starting a new project, and so I did. So that could easily happen again. I don't know, but that's all I've got planned right now. But as they say, plans always change. So anyway, I think that's all I've got today. So thank you so much for sticking with me if you've watched this whole video. I know you've got plenty of other floss tubes to get to, and I really appreciate you spending time with me. And yeah, keep running if you're a runner. Always keep stitching, and be kind to whoever you meet on your journey. Bye for now. Until the next stitch.